Well, hello, boys and girls. It's when we feel like 8 o'clock, and I have Jamey, Baskow here, my friends. If you're a Philadelphia Flyers fan or just a fan of hockey in any way, shape, or form, you got to check out this guy's writing. You can find him on Twitter. He'll give you all the handles and stuff like that. He's also on Flyers Nitty Gritty. This guy is going through the roof. Him and his team are bringing great content constantly all the time. I'm just so happy to have him. And he's got a bunch of updates. We reached out to each other. He wanted to use this panel to send it out to everybody, and I'm happy to have it. Jamey, so glad to have you here, buddy. What's going on in your life right now, real quick?
As you can imagine, it's very, very busy. Practice, the last scrimmage just ended for the Flyers about 40 to 45 minutes ago. You know how it is, just very busy, pulling out some updates and whatnot. I got a lot of Flyer updates to give, your dedicated viewership whom are either NHL fans, like all teams and whatever, just love the sport, or Flyers fans themselves. And if you're not a Flyers fan and you just like one person in particular by the name of Carter Harte, I do have an update on him. And, honestly, I'm glad to come on again for your viewership. It's always a pleasure. You're a nice guy, Steve, and you do great work. And I will say you are a legend.
Okay. I made it old enough to be called that. Okay. Well, let's start off with Carter Harte then. What's the update? We're all on the edge of our seat, man. What's going on?
Well, Flyers fans can excel, and, Canadian fans throughout the world, Canadian fans in general can excel, because I know a lot of Canadian fans that are rooting for the young man. He's a 21-year-old netminder, and he was really taking the franchise goaltender to another level this season from what we gathered. But it was good. It was unfortunate to see him go out, Tuesday, during Tuesday's scrimmage. He left with apparent back spasms, according to Colby Cohen, who is a really good guy, and I've met him numerous times and stuff. But I don't think Colby would just throw anything out there. Well, today, after the scrimmage was over, there were 4 players taking shots on Carter Harte at the Flyers practice facility. There's 2 rinks. There's a main rink for the Flyers and a Phantoms rink, it's called. And he was taking 4 players were shooting on Carter Harte on the Phantoms rink. And then after you conduct an interview with AV says that Harte felt fine after, that particular workout. So that's good. So that means that Carter Harte is either A, going to, return to practice tomorrow, or B, he could possibly return to practice on Saturday. I penciled him in before as not practicing today because today was the last scrimmage. I don't think the Flyers would go out there and sort of like in-game action for no reason and test. I mean, it would have been a good test, but why not give it some extra rest just to make sure? So, the good thing is that he felt fine, and he was out there for a period of time for about, I say, around 15, 20 minutes.
That's awesome news. Yeah, there was quite the ruckus when that happened. A lot of people went a little crazy. But especially when you got a kid like everybody loves Carter, right? It's not. I don't think it comes from a bad spirit. It's just everybody loves him, and he's so huge for that team.
Yeah, as soon as he got hurt, people were jumping off the Brooklyn Bridge, the Ben Franklin Bridge in Philadelphia and stuff. And, it was a doom and gloom type situation, which I can understand. Our franchise goaltender, once the Flyers are a very good team. If you want me to be quite frank, this is probably the best team since the Eric Lindros era. I think they smashed the 2010 team, irregardless of this pandemic or not. I think they're going to return, and I think they're just going to kill it. And, there's just too much family talk right now after interview after interview after interview from the vets in the locker room. You're looking at Matt Niskanen and Brian Elliott saying this is a family. Those are big words. You just don't throw. They've been around the league, and they've been around many teams. So it's not like they're not journeymen in some type of way. You know what I mean? Not that they are journeymen. I'm just saying they've been around a little bit from, team to team. Now, of course, this is only Matt Niskanen's, second team in the Flyers coming from the Caps, but you know what I mean? So this isn't his first dog show here. I think that, when you're throwing that term around, I think it could only spell good news for the Philadelphia Flyers. And, in terms of Carter Harte, when your franchise goaltender goes down, and it's not just him performing on the ice, it's what he does off the ice that people capture, and people have come to love him because he is phenomenal off the ice.
Yes, that's the thing. That's that everybody, that kind of we get that kind of reaction from great players and great people. So that's, I guess, the way we can look at that, as people maybe overreacting because people really love the guy and really know the value of that fellow.
Yeah.
Okay, awesome story on Oscar Lindblom and what he's gone through, and I mean, the peak of it just almost can't help but bring a little tear to your eye of joy that he gets this contract now. What's the update with him and all that story that's going on there, big guy?
Well, he signed a 3-year, $9 million contract yesterday, so that's $3 million AAV. And the thing is, he's in Sweden right now, and he will be joining the Flyers either tomorrow or Saturday, because the hope is our GM Chuck Fletcher. The hope is him to join the team to travel to Toronto, which is the hub city that the Flyers would go to. That is the goal, and that's what Fletcher is working hand in hand with Oscar Lindblom, and Fletcher is also working hand in hand with the doctors to make sure that this is the right move. As of right now, the oncologist came back, and that's per Fletcher in his quotes that he gave out yesterday and whatnot, and that's what he said yesterday. His oncologist is all on board with him going. And, quite frankly, if you want me to be quite frank, if he were to come back from Sweden and go to live, in Philadelphia in his apartment, he has more risk of an exposure to COVID in Philadelphia as opposed to the bubble. I think the bubble is pretty safe. 2,618 tests were conducted for phase 3. Only 2 positive tests came back. The bubble is pretty safe. Canada has done a great job in trying to eliminate, the spread of COVID much better than the United States. And I just think that, to me, I think the bubble would be a good place for Oscar Lindblom to go, especially if the doctors are on board. And it's not just one doctor. These are multiple doctors. There's probably about 5 to 7 doctors that Chuck Fletcher and Oscar Lindblom are consulting, not only his oncologist, but the Flyers doctors and this person. Is this the right move and stuff? It's not just, hey, come. So, and I understand that aspect, that people are a little worried if he goes, but I think it's much safer. And the young man, he wants to practice. He's rebounded quite well. He says he feels great. He's been practicing. He wants to practice in Toronto, and Chuck Fletcher did not rule out him playing at some point. Chuck Fletcher said it is a possibility, for him to possibly play, but you can't get there unless he's not able to go to Toronto. So the goal right now is the Flyers to get him on the plane to Toronto. That is the ultimate goal. But right now he is in Sweden today. Look for him possibly to come back, like I said, tomorrow or Saturday. And,
Seeing me, I'm not seeing you, buddy.
Huh?
There we are. Gotcha. Okay. Excellent. Thank you. I would rather be in that bubble. Seriously, you know what I mean? Like, let me go in the bubble. It's a safe place to be. I'm in Edmonton here, and from all I'm hearing from the players and stuff like that, like, you are about as safe a place as you're possibly going to be if you're in a bubble that's being taken care of by the NHL right now.
The NHL players have done a great job, and I won't speak on every sport, but the NHL players have done a great job in trying to limit the amount of spread and exposure to COVID. When you have conducted 2,618 tests during phase 3 and only 2 come back positive, that's pretty remarkable. I expected that number to be much higher, and the reason is because some players did not return for phase 2. They were coming from either other countries, other parts of the United States, and stuff. So you would expect that the positive tests would have been higher, but to only have 2 positive tests come back, that's not bad. So that means that by the time they get to the hub cities, it should be 0 by the time, they travel to the hub cities in the first test, because they're going to be conducted, every day. So if there are some positive tests, you got to think, is it food service? Is it something here? Is it maybe the hockey pucks or hockey, something? But, to only have 2 positive tests, the bubble to me is much safer than his apartment in Philadelphia, in my eyes, anyway.
Absolutely. I would have to agree with you 100%. I guess a few other things here. One thing I'm hearing all the way over here is that Brian Elliott is playing out of his head right now. Is that obviously it's true. I mean, this guy is playing amazing.
He has been by far one of the top 5 players in camp. This guy has just been lights out. He was dominant again today at the scrimmage. I know Hayes beat him for 2 goals. Hayes had 2 goals today. So, he is just dominant. Morgan Frost put up a good day today, against Brian Elliott. But again, the veteran and the Moose just stopped him. It wasn't because Frost had a bad scrimmage, and that's why he didn't score. It's just because the Moose was freaking great today. And he has been throughout the whole camp. I've been so impressed from Brian Elliott. I didn't know what to expect because after a long pause and you're coming back and you're a veteran netminder, it's a lot more difficult, I think, in my eyes, as opposed to, say, Carter Harte, who's chomping at the bit here. So I would have thought that Carter Harte may have had more success than Brian Elliott, in my opinion. Not saying Brian Elliott would have been bad, but I'm just saying I would have expected Carter Harte. But no, Brian Elliott has been absolutely phenomenal. You get nothing short of phenomenal. And, he deserves a lot of credit. I mean, Carter Harte went down on Tuesday, and Brian Elliott said, okay, it's go time for me. Well, it has been go time anyway. And that's the thing. Brian Elliott and Carter Harte have such a darn good relationship. It's not about who. It's about we. It's always been a we thing with Brian Elliott and Carter Harte. So if Carter Harte goes down, Brian Elliott's there to back him up. If Brian Elliott goes down, Carter Harte's there to, take the reins, So they have been working hand in hand with one another, and they have a great relationship with one another. I am so happy with Brian Elliott. To me, if I'm Chuck Fletcher, and there is no doubt, I'm pretty sure that he has probably talked with Brian Elliott about an extension. In my opinion, he's already extended Mark Friedman last Monday, and he extended Oscar Lindblom yesterday. And I think that there's more household cleaning that he's doing. Maybe Felipe Myers comes out with a contract, here before camp ends. Maybe tomorrow or the next day. Who knows? Or maybe even NAK, who's a budding young prospect, gets a contract. Not sure, but Brian Elliott has been absolutely phenomenal. Rock solid. This guy has moved post better than I've seen him in quite some time, and that's dangerous. He is a dangerous goaltender to have, and AV has made it a point to say that it will be Hart one game, Elliott next. He's going to rotate him. So.
Yeah, I mean, when you're hearing about a backup goaltender, I'm living in Edmonton, Philadelphia fan. Yeah. But when you're hearing about a backup goaltender from here, like this news, there's news coming out like that tells you that this guy's doing something special.
Yeah.
And it tells you the character of this guy.
Yeah, and he put up some good numbers as a backup goaltender. But mind you, he's not a starter. So his numbers were 2.75 GAA with a .899 save percentage. That's almost a .900 save percentage. I'm fine with that for a backup netminder because they're not seeing the rubber as often. That's the goal. And towards the end, he wasn't seeing much rubber. The only game that he saw with it was Washington Capitals game. And he killed them 5-2. I think it was. I think that's what the score was. You're playing a prominent team in the Washington Capitals who have offensive firepower, who put up goals with the best of them, probably hang with the Boston Bruins better than most teams in the NHL, to be honest. And, for him to only allow 2 goals against him, that was pretty darn impressive, especially when not seeing rubber in 8 days. I was very impressed by that. And, as a backup netminder, you're not seeing rubber, so you're supposed to be a little more rustier. And because practice is different from game action. I keep saying that to everybody. Practice is practice, and the Flyers are practicing well, but this has to correlate to game action. And I think that's where AV is getting them at, conditioning and playing these scrimmages, and that's why they added 2 scrimmages on. So there was only slated for 1 scrimmage, and then AV put in 2 more scrimmages in there because he knows you got to get them game action. You have to. Game action is different. And so I commend AV for that. What a phenomenal coach.
Then the next news that I'm hearing a lot of is the kids there in Philadelphia are playing unbelievable, especially Farabee. But they're pushing a lot of these veterans, maybe more than they would have expected. Would you agree with that? Is that what you're seeing as well?
Absolutely. Absolutely. I was looking for Joel Farabee to have a better scrimmage today. It didn't happen. Not saying he had a bad scrimmage by any means, but I really thought that he would excel. He has excelled in 5-on-5 scrimmages, but in the end, every person's allowed to have a bad day, and maybe the amount of work and the conditioning, because he goes balls to the wall anyway. So maybe that all just caught up to him today, and look for him to rebound tomorrow. But Joel Farabee has played phenomenal. He's another one that's in the top 5 there for camps. And another player who has had a good camp, believe it or not, is Travis Konechny. And he's right up there in the top 3 for me. He has had a quiet, good camp. Not much talk because the kids have still stolen the show. There's been a lot of talk about Brian Elliott, Carter Harte, and now Oscar Lindblom. Morgan Frost is now being pushed to the side as opposed to the first few days, Joel Farabee. But Morgan Frost is in the top 5 for me as well. I thought he's had a really good camp. He came out in the scrimmage today and really performed very well, even though it's not about getting on the stat sheet. It's not always about putting up goals and assists. It's about what you do with the puck that's promising. And he showed a lot of promise on the power play. When you're playing he's filling in for Sean Couturier today because Couturier had had his baby and stuff like that. He was obviously with his wife. And so he was filling in the slot there for Sean Couturier, where Couturier would have been on the slot on the power play. And when you're going up and you're playing with Claude Giroux, Jake Voracek, Ivan Provorov, and stuff, on that power play, that's a tough task. It's a tough task, especially when you're a rookie. And he's a rookie on the outside looking in. And I think he's the top black ace, of course, but he's in the top 5 for me for camp. And I thought he's put up a great camp. So in my camp views, I got Brian Elliott. I have Travis Konechny. I got Joel Farabee. I got Morgan Frost. And the 5th one is going to be a tough one because I think Kevin Hayes deserves to be in that top 5. But Claude Giroux also put up a very good camp as well. And Claude Giroux hasn't been talked about as much. But Claude Giroux, I'll tell you, this is the heaviest shot I've seen in some time from him. He was really stinging Carter Harte. You saw him shaking a bit after practices and stuff like that, after getting stung by the puck and stuff. That's how heavy his shot. I think Claude Giroux is around the 5th or 6th, spot, maybe even better than that. But he has put up a good camp as well.
Yeah, I guess we kind of get used to Claude Giroux a little bit too sometimes, right? He's so consistent.
He's phenomenal. I don't want to hear what anybody has to say. He's an elite. He's an elite centerman, and I'll debate that till the end of time. And it's not because I show bias to the Philadelphia Flyers, but he's a very good hockey player. I know him personally. He's a leader in that locker room. There isn't anybody that's more determined than Claude Giroux. When you're seeing it, and you're seeing it at camp and stuff, and you're just seeing him how serious he is, especially in his interviews, he's usually more giddy. But I know he's missing his son and missing his wife, right now. But he's determined to win that cup. And I think that in the past, maybe he has smiled and stuff. I'm not saying he hasn't smiled at all, but I think it's a different Claude Giroux now. He is letting these guys take the show here. Okay, you want to talk, go talk. You know what I mean? He's just going to be determined to do his business.
Well, Jamey, thank you. I know you got a short window here. I'm just happy to have you on here. Jamey Baskow, everybody. Remember this name, Flyers Nitty Gritty. These guys are doing great stuff, inside work that's amazing, great writers. I love them. I've been loving them ever since I started doing this, and now we get to hang out and talk to them like this. It's incredible. And
this is a monthly thing. This is a monthly thing, Steve. Let's be honest here for your viewership, all right? I appreciate it anytime you ask me to come on. So next month, I can't wait to come on, or maybe in the next few weeks, maybe we'll do a special show or something of that nature, when things start to die down. In terms of the exhibition is going to be busy, the first, round robin games, and then things might die down a bit, when he gets to the playoffs. Not saying that, but who knows what's going to happen. It's going to be a good playoffs. That I just wanted to leave with one message. This is going to be a fun NHL playoffs. Anybody can win, any team. This is grueling. This is going to be a grueling task here to win the Stanley Cup. This might be the hardest cup to ever win, just because everybody is coming in, fresh. Everybody's coming in rested, and most teams are healthy at this time. So this isn't going to be just a cakewalk and say, oh, okay, the Flyers were very good, that now they're just going to be good. No, they have to want it. They have to want it. And that's the difference between this Flyers team and other Flyers team that I've seen in the past. This team wants it. They're saying the right things. They are talking the right things. Freaking having Oscar Lindblom there. Oh, my God, for his 24th birthday on August 5th, around August 15th, I think is his 24th birthday. I mean, that is an emotional lift for the Philadelphia Flyers. If I'm a team around August 15th, I don't want to be playing the Flyers.
Yeah, it's funny. I just did a video with Deli and Joe Borek, and we put up our picks for who's going to win the cup. And a lot of people aren't going to believe me. It's not because I'm a homer. I picked Philadelphia. So yeah, that's the way. I love the team. I haven't picked Philadelphia for quite a while, but I am this year. I just love.
It's funny you say that, because that's the term that's being used a lot, is love. There's been not so much love with this team in the past few years and stuff, and now people have come to love this team now again. So it's great. It's great. The Flyer fans have always been great. They're always been there. They always, are there packing the house. All those rumors about this lack of attendance and whatnot, whatever. It is what it is. But the Flyer fans have always been there. They will always be there. You know what? Hockey fans in general, you all are the best. I love every hockey fan. You're a hockey fan. You're an A in my book. And the Seattle Kraken. And that's how I'll leave.
Okay, Jamey. Go do what you do, my friend. Love you, buddy. Thanks for coming in and giving us all this great information. Awesome stuff. Take care, my friend.